Okay. Hello, everybody. I am here with author Katie Miller, and we are going to be talking about paranormal books. Katie, what do you like to write?
I'm kind of all over the place, honestly, with genres. But paranormal is kind of my jam. That's kind of when I first started writing. It wasn't the first thing I did, but it's kind of always back in the back of my head, like I need to do a paranormal because
Ooh.
that's what I love to read. Like so, yeah.
Okay, so do you have like a favorite paranormal creature that you like to write?
I have a few vampires in my head, vampire stories. So vampires are kind of usually my go-to. Um, Reading and writing, I'm just like, ooh, vamps. I don't know if that I think it started with like my Buffy obsession
Of course.
back a million years ago. Still obsessed to this day. So probably vampires are my go-to paranormal uh interest.
So what do
Can't
you
go
have
wrong with like really sexy wolves though. So
for
yeah.
sure? So what's something you love about vampires?
There's just too much. I think I like the fact that like they're kind of a lot of times they're evil, but they're not really. Like just
Yeah.
like I like the take on vampires where they're like, this is what I do. Like I kill people, I drink blood, like what of it?
Big
It's
deal.
like I'm smoking a cigarette, no big deal, guys. So I kind of like that take on vampires where they're like not like, distraught about what they are, tortured, or they're just kind of like, this is me. I'm a badass, I'm a vampire, like,
Yeah, they just
and I
kind
live
of
forever
accept
and it's
it.
cool.
Yeah. Okay. No, I like that too. I feel like they're a little bit rough around the edges, but that's
Yeah.
what we like about them.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So what about shifters? Like, what do you like about shifters?
I like shifters because there's so much you can do with them. There's just it just like, the open playing field. Like, because you can be like, oh, you shift into a tiger, you shift into a bear, you shift into a dragon. That could be interesting. You know what I mean? It's just like this whole world opens up and the possibilities are just endless with shifters. And
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of cool, like the dual nature of shifters, and like werewolves and all of that. It's kind of like because they have the human side, but then there's like this other crazy animalistic monster side.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the dual nature is really cool.
I agree. And I really like it. I love to write shifters. I really like it when we have a shifter who like his human form still has some like characteristics of his animal form.
Yes.
Like, like if they're a panther, like maybe they're a little bit sneaky when they're in their human.
Yes. One of my all-time favorite like ride or die paranormal authors is Cressley Cole. And
Okay.
I love the Immortals After Dark series. And that's how all of her wolves, her lacais are like they have like they're like, oh, he did something in like a very wolfy gesture, or like he growls in like a wolfy way. So it's like I
Yeah.
love that they like even when they're not in their animal form, like that comes in. I love that.
I love that too. That's amazing. So, is there any paranormal creature that you want to write about that you haven't yet?
Well, I've so in one of mine, I touched a little bit on vampires, but not in the way that I would want to do it from like a paranormal romance standpoint. That was kind of more of a fantasy, young adult fantasy that I did. So I'd really still like to do my like legit paranormal vampires. That would be cool. I would like to do shifters. Um, I don't know. I don't know what
Okay.
else.
What about when you are reading for fun? Do you only like to read vampires, or are you ever like, I need to read about a dragon? I need to read about a polar bear?
I'm kind of like I'm open to most anything. Like my thing is as long as the story is good, I will read almost anything. Like you can kind of come at me like, yeah, like I got a polar bear shifter and I kind of be like, but then if it's like the story is good, I'm like, bring on the polar bears.
Yeah.
It's just like as long as the story is good, I'm pretty open to anything. So yeah, like I haven't gone too far into the like monster side of things that seems
Okay.
to be very popular right now. Um, but I'm not against it. I just haven't had that much time to read lately.
Oh my goodness, I know. Imagine being a busy
But yeah.
mother. How dare you? So, have you always known that you wanted to write, or
Not,
really?
no, not at all.
So, what
This is
happened?
completely by accident. Um, I've always loved reading. Like in school, I liked writing. Like
Yeah.
English was always my favorite class and all of that, but I never in a million years was like, oh, I want to be a writer when I grow up. Nothing like that. It was just like about 3.5 years ago now. I just kind of got a story in my head and it would not go away. And so I was like, okay, maybe if I write it down, then it will leave me alone and I won't think about it anymore. And then, like I wrote it down and it just kind of like evolved, and then I finally like got the nerve to tell a couple of friends, like, I think I'm kind of writing a book. I don't know. And then once I showed them, they're like, yes, this is a book. This needs to be a thing. Like, what are you like? Other people need to see it. And after a whole lot of persuading, because I was like, no, I finally was like, okay, I guess I'll do it. And then it just like snowballed from there. And now I think I'm about to publish my ninth.
Oh, hey, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So it didn't, it was never a plan
Yeah.
to write for sure. I love it and I will keep doing it for all like 5 of my readers. Hi guys. But, but
Well,
no, it was never the plan.
I love that you approached it with like this trepidation. Like, I think it's a book. I'm
Yeah.
not sure what it is.
Yeah, because I literally was just like, if I just spit it out, it will leave me alone. Because I was like going to sleep with like dialogue in my head. And I'm like,
Okay.
what is happening? Am I going crazy? And so yeah, I was never planning for it to be an actual book at all. It was just, I'm
Okay.
gonna spit this stuff out and we'll see what happens. And then I was like, I think maybe I wrote a book. I don't really know.
I love it so much. That's like so wholesome. I just really love that. That's amazing. So now that you are an author of 9 books, which is super
Please.
cool, have you done like author reader events? Have you done any like in-person book signings yet?
I have not. I'm terrified to try them.
Okay.
Um, I want to. It's so funny. I'm so like I have the two sides where it's like one, that meme where it's like Kermit saying the one thing and then it's like Kermit in the
Yeah.
cloak saying like the opposite. That's the inside of my head at all times.
Okay.
Because the one is like, oh, in-person event would be so fun. I want to do a book signing. I want to do all these things. And then the dark Kermit is like, no, that's a terrible idea. You'll have to like you'll have to talk to people or people won't want to talk to you and what's worse and
So, a piece of advice,
yes,
readers
please,
are
all the
more
advice.
scared of you than you are of them. No offense to any
I
readers.
love it. No,
Um,
I would really love to do, and one of these days I'm going to get there and I'm gonna like just make myself do it. Because I think I would really love them. Like I would be stressed and scared, but I really think it would be fun.
yeah.
So one day I'm gonna do
Okay, cool. That's awesome. No, I hope you do.
it.
One,
Thank
I
you.
I love to do book events, so I always like to ask people about them. But what I did before I went as a signing author, I went to an event as a reader
Mhm.
just to kind of see like what the vibe was and what it was like, and that was a little calming.
Yeah. Yeah, I've said the same thing. Like I want to go to a big event just like as a reader, just to
Yeah,
see what it, how it is. And then maybe that might make me feel a little better. We'll see.
yeah.
Um, but if you have any tips on like how to find events and stuff, because I'm clueless.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Definitely let me know.
There is actually a super great Facebook group that has a ton of events sorted by state.
Oh,
I will
oh,
email
awesome.
you after this.
Yes.
And for
Yes.
anybody watching, I will drop it in the YouTube description.
Yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of other people like me that are like, how? Because Google, that's all I know. It's like I go to
Yeah.
Google, and usually that's not very helpful.
Yeah, it can be kind of tricky to find stuff too, but yeah, it's called I think it's called like author events around the world, but I'll send you the link and you can check it out.
Awesome. Thank
Yes,
you.
of course.
And maybe I'll
So,
do one. Maybe.
you know what? Hopefully they won. That would be cool.
That would be awesome.
I
And I'll
would
just like, I'm going to cling to you like a barnacle.
oh, you're welcome to. That's
You're
okay.
never going to be rid of me now.
I'm very brave. I'm not scared. All right. So, okay, so that's maybe on the to-do list for the future.
Yes.
Okay, which I love. So you have your 9th book is coming out. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite book?
Ooh,
I know
that's a
that's
hard one.
myth-
Because you're not supposed to have a favorite child. Um, my favorite is honestly probably Evan's Fire, which is my like young adult fantasy.
Okay.
Um, I don't know why. It's just like something about it. It was the third book I wrote, and it just something about it just like sunk its claws in.
Okay.
Uh, so I just love that one. And it's which is funny because it's not even in my favorite genre. I mean, I love fantasy, but like
Hmm.
paranormal is my favorite.
Okay.
So it's funny that that's my favorite book that I've written, even though it's not in
Yeah.
my favorite genre.
I love that. That's really cool. So, do you ever go back and like reread your books?
I do. I was
Okay.
just telling one of my best friends because I was trying to because I'm really bad about like posting on social media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was like making a video for
Okay.
Evanspire. So I like pulled up the my document my manuscript to
Yeah.
find a quote and stuff to put in it. And I'm just sitting there and I was like 20 minutes later, I was like, I've just been reading it. Like I'm just reading it instead of looking for a quote. And I texted, I was like, I forgot how much I love it.
Aw,
So I do. I don't know if that's normal. Do you read your books? Please tell me that's normal.
I do sometimes,
Okay.
and you're normal. The thing that I think is really fun is if I'm reading something I wrote, especially if it was like years ago, and there's a line that makes me laugh that I've
Mhm.
forgotten about. I love
Oh
that.
yeah. I love that too. I had a similar thing with one of mine, the same thing. I was kind of looking through for, good teaser quotes or whatever. And it was one of
Yeah.
those like I even like I think I sent a picture of it to my friend and I was like, huh, I'm kind of funny sometimes. Like I forgot this was in there.
That's so cute. I love
Yeah,
that.
so I love that. It is fun to kind of go back because then you like you said, you kind of see things you forgot you put in there,
Yeah.
or yeah, it's kind of fun. But sometimes I do, I'll get lost in my own stuff or and then I'll gasp. I'm like I didn't write it. Like
You're like, wow, what
like,
did
oh
she?
God, that was shocking. And I was like, wait, no, I knew this was coming. What am I doing?
Yeah, no, that is really fun. So, do you tend to plot out your stories like before you even start writing?
No, I am a pantser. I could not plot, I don't think, to save my life. Like, if someone was like, you have to plot out a novel or this is the end, I would just have to say my goodbyes.
Okay.
Um, I've always been that way. Like in school, when you had a paper or something and they made you turn in an outline beforehand, that was like my literal nightmare. Like I couldn't do it. I was that person that I had to write it like the night before it was due.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
so
That's
I
great.
am not a plotter. I have ideas. Obviously, I have
Yeah.
like, this is going to happen and I want this to go this way, but I
Yeah.
definitely am not like a one of those. I love the people. I'm so jealous of the people that have like the boards and
Oh,
the
yeah.
colors and I wish I was like that. But that's not my DNA.
You know what the cool thing about like being a pantser is though, is that you kind of get to discover the story along with your characters.
And I really do. I mean, like I said, I have ideas of where certain things are going, but then sometimes I'm like, you know what? This is just happening and I didn't expect this, but we're going over here now and I love
Yeah.
it. So it is kind of fun to kind of like discover it as it comes out.
Yeah, that can definitely be super fun.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to new writers who are thinking about trying to write a book for the first time? Would you suggest that they outline? Would you suggest that they go for? Would you suggest something totally different?
I think the first suggestion is just do what's right for you. Cause I know a lot of people, like, if I sat there and tried to make myself do an outline or plot, like, I would never get anywhere. And then I would get discouraged and I probably
Yeah.
would never do anything. But then my next thing is like, just write, just get the first draft out. Like, just word vomit that first draft onto the page and then go back and like read it and edit and worry about all the things. But I'm in a lot of like the writing groups and
Okay.
stuff, and I see so many posts where it's like, hey, I just started, can somebody look at my first paragraph? And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like just take a step back, because if you do that, you're never,
Never gonna finish.
you're never gonna finish. You're gonna constantly be second, like, so you just like that's my biggest thing, I think, is just get it out,
Yeah.
and then that's when you can go back and polish and ask questions and ask for critiques and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just get that first draft out. Get it out of your head.
Yeah.
Because then like we even said, like you may discover new things once you're writing it. Once you get that draft out, like then you decide, oh well, maybe we can go this direction now, or here's a new idea that came because I kept going and kept
Yeah.
writing. instead of worrying so much about, is my opening paragraph good, or is my first chapter good, and that kind of thing. So I think just try to get the first draft out there before you worry about
Yeah.
anything else.
I think that's really good advice because I think for a lot of people, the idea of writing a story is very different from writing the story. I mean,
Yes.
and it can be physically exhausting and very
Yeah.
time consuming. And for
Yes.
some of us, it takes a really long time, and some of us, it doesn't take that long. But
Yeah.
once you get the draft out, then you can kind of fix any problems.
Yeah, definitely. Because I those same groups, you see people like, oh, I just started my first chapter, and then they're already worrying about like what genre to market it as and
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. And it's like that may even change before you get through your, the first draft. So like just don't worry about any of that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, because it's a lot. Like it's like I said, I didn't start out trying to write one, but since then I've obviously tried to write
Yeah.
other ones since then, and it's not easy.
Oh,
um
yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, sometimes the things flow. Like my newest one coming out, I had the first draft done in 3 weeks,
Okay,
and
cool.
it was one of those, it just came out and it was great, and it just happened. And then other times it's months and months and months of me being like, my brain just says no, like I'm not going to give you this
Yeah.
story. So yeah, it is hard. And so that's another bit of advice for new people. Just try not to get discouraged and try not to get down on yourself, because no matter how successful or like every writer goes through where you're stuck, or
Yeah.
you think your stuff is garbage, or everybody goes through it. So try not to like let it get to you. Try to, just not get discouraged and hard on yourself.
Yeah, I like that advice. And I think that's really important because being an author is one of these, whether someone's doing it for fun or for a career, it's a position where people will not like your work and will tell you that you suck,
Yeah.
but people will also love your work and tell you that it's great. So
Yeah,
you really kind of have to have thick skin
you do.
and kind of keep that in mind when you're writing. Like, I'm doing this because I want to, because it's important to me.
Exactly.
Um, and yeah, so I think that's really good advice.
Yeah, you have to keep that in mind, that you can't please everyone, no matter how successful a book is. Pull
Yeah.
any successful author and there's going to be 1,000 one-star reviews saying that it's garbage. So it doesn't matter. Like just try not, like you can't please everybody no matter who
Yeah.
you are. So just keep that in mind, and just like you said, write for yourself and write for what your readers and you want, and
Yeah.
just what makes you happy.
So, is there a time when you've gotten a review that was just really amazing and you were just like, this makes me want to keep writing?
Oh, yeah, plenty of times. There's because and you can ask my very small group of like, we have a group chat and it's just books. We call it's the Book Babes group chat.
Oh, cool.
And they all love my stuff and they're my good friends. And we just like we we joke all the time because I have very bad imposter syndrome. So like everything, I'm always like, here, this is garbage. This is garbage. This is terrible.
Oh,
This is a dumpster fire. And they're like, no, we love you. Like it's great. It's great. It's great. And so yeah, they're all the time I'll be feeling kind of like, oh no, this is bad. This is not good, is it? And then I'll see a review where somebody's like, I connected with this character, or it made me laugh out loud, or it made me cry in the best way, or anything like that. And it just
yeah.
makes me be like, okay, so maybe it's not so bad, or maybe I should keep going. Because if that one person is like, I loved it, then that's good for me. Because I'm never gonna it's not a career for me. I would love it if it
Yeah.
could, if it was, but it's not right now.
Totally fair.
But yeah, yeah, I have to write like at night when everybody else goes to sleep.
Okay. Well, you know
uh,
what? It's really cool that you are taking the time to do that because I'm sure that your readers really appreciate getting to see the stories that you're creating and the worlds that you're creating, even though it's not something where you don't have unlimited time to do this. This really is like a labor of love. So I think that's really
yeah, it really is. And it's for any readers out there, if you're ever questioning if you should like leave that review or comment on one of your favorite authors' posts, or even send them a message or a DM or whatever, if you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that, that's weird. No, please do. Please tell us if you like what we're doing, because sometimes we do feel like, well, we're terrible and we want to give up, but like your message could be the one that's like, okay, I'm gonna keep going. Like this is good. Because I've been there before. Like I've been there where I'm like, I'm gonna throw in the towel. I'm done doing this.
Yeah.
So it's a big thing. And I had kind of one of those moments, not that I was thinking about giving up, but just oh yay, kind of feel good
Yeah.
moments. When we posted about like this new book that's coming out and it's a different genre kind of thing for me. And it was like, would any of you guys be interested in like ARCing for this? Like it's a little bit different. And like I had like 4 or 5 people that were like, if you write it, I'm gonna read it. Like I don't care what it is. And then like 4 comments under that, like, me too. I was came to say the same thing. And I was just like, oh, I'm gonna cry. Like
Yeah.
it did. It seriously made my day. So if any of you are reading this and you know who you are, like it seriously made my day. Like I don't cry that often, but I teared up.
Aw. No, but I think that's a really good point and a really good reminder that sometimes just something as small as reaching out and being like, hey, I liked your book. Like it doesn't have to be a fancy message. It can literally be, this is a pretty good book. It kept me entertained.
Yes,
It makes a big
seriously.
difference.
Even like I said, even if someone's like, huh, that made me laugh, then I'm like, job done. Because,
Yeah.
that's all I try to do is make people laugh most of the time. So,
Yeah, that's fair. One of
yeah.
my favorite memories as an author, it was at a book event and somebody had read my book and they came up to me and they were mad and they were like, I can't believe you did this to your character. And I was like, I know it was a bad choice. But I was like, wow, you had an emotional reaction to something I created. It felt good.
Exactly, exactly. Like it feels good, especially like I said for like someone who I constantly doubt myself like 24/7 on this front. So for someone like me, for someone to have a reaction like that or be like, even like you said, mad, like, how dare you hurt my favorite character? Or how dare you do this? Like
Yeah.
it's like, aha, I gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels pretty good. And I feel like it's a pretty exciting feeling for sure.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
So I know that you said usually you write at night. What's your process for writing like? Do you write a couple of days a week? Do you light candles and have music? Are you, sorry, I just dropped something. Are you the kind of person that's like, I have to get this word count? Like, what does your writing setup look like?
Yeah, I'm definitely not a word count or goal kind of person.
Okay.
Because I think that's great for some people, but I'm just like, if I try to do that, then my brain will be like, oh, you want to write 5,000 words? You're gonna write 0 words. Good try.
Aw, okay.
Like it's just not gonna
Yeah.
happen. So yeah, I'm just kind of like I try to write anytime I can. So sometimes like at work, like I'll write on my lunch break. I'll bust out my laptop and kind of
Oh,
write on my
cool.
lunch break. But normally it's at night after I have a almost 6 year old. So after she goes to bed, and then normally, honestly, my awesome writing situation is me in bed with a laptop with my husband snoring next to me, like literally snoring. So
Okay.
that's, and then I'll just kind of write like as much as I can. And I'm just one of those people, when it flows, it flows, and when it doesn't, it
Yeah.
doesn't. And so there's
Okay.
been times where I've literally like stopped writing in the middle of a sentence. Um,
Fair. Yeah.
yeah, and then I'm, because it's just like, nope, no more, done. And
Yeah.
so, and I've learned not to try to push myself through it.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fair.
so yeah, it's just kind of like kind of a very relaxed, like it's just there's no pressure. I don't try not to put pressure on myself anyway. Obviously if I was like had deals with publishers and had deadlines
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff
different.
like that, it'd be a different story. But at this point I can just kind of write when it comes, and when it doesn't I can kind of step away from it. But yeah, it's normally at night in bed with a snoring dude beside me and a
Okay.
dog laying on my feet, and yeah. It's not
So
that glamorous.
you know what? That sounds comfy. So,
It is.
do you ever write people you know into your books? Like, have you ever written your dog into a book or like named a character after your kid?
So I've taken bits and pieces from people,
Okay.
all kinds of people. Sometimes it's not good. Sometimes they're the
Oh,
villain or the person who maybe gets like eaten or something.
okay.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's little bits and pieces in there. I haven't. directly named any of my characters. I don't think like I definitely haven't named after my daughter. But I've thrown like some friends' names in and stuff
Okay.
like that. And there's a lot of me, which I don't think you're technically supposed to do. Like, don't
Yeah.
write yourself. But almost all of my characters, my friends who know me will read and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, so that's you. So you're Finn or you're, Hale or whatever." Or they'll be like, "Yeah, I can totally see you saying this line."
I
So I
like
do put a lot of myself and like my sense of humor and stupidity and stuff in all of my characters.
I love that. It's cool that your friends like can kind of pick that out too. And they're like, this is you. This
Yeah.
is also you.
Yeah, my one of my best friends, Lexi, she's the one like she gets my first drafts of everything and then she goes through and like makes comments and stuff. And like there's so many times where she'll be like, if this isn't a Katie Miller line, I don't know what is. Or like if this
Yeah.
isn't something you would do, then. So that's always fun when they're like, oh yeah, that's you. That's so you.
That's sweet. And it sounds like they're really supportive too, which I think is really
They are like they were hyping me up before we got on the Zoom. They were like, "You're gonna
cool.
do great. You look great." Like I know they're the best. They're absolutely the best. And I try to acknowledge them and in all the acknowledgement pages and all the things because honestly, I wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't be here still doing it if it wasn't
Yeah,
for them for sure.
that's fair. So what
Yeah.
do you think is the easiest thing about being a writer?
Definitely not blurbs.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
worst.
Okay.
I am
Okay.
terrible. It's definitely not that.
Okay. Totally
um,
fair.
yeah. Honestly, for me, normally it is the story, like because like I said, the writing of the story is normally pretty. I don't want to say easy, but like it flows pretty well for
Okay.
me. So that's maybe like the easiest. Um, your normally character names are pretty easy for me. I see a lot of
Ooh.
people that struggle with names, but I normally like automatically like as soon as I get a story in my head, like I'm like, oh, that's so and so. Like I have it in my head the character
Oh,
name.
that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, so that's something that I've seen like a lot of some people are like, I was on a baby naming website for 10 hours, like trying to find names, but weirdly those are fairly easy for me. Knock on
Yeah.
wood, not gonna say it. I'm not gonna be able to come up with my next character's name.
Sophie. They can be Sophie.
You're gonna be in the next one.
Woo! Not as a villain, please. No,
No, no,
that would be fun.
no,
Okay. Okay.
no.
That would
Female
be fun.
main character all the way.
Aw, I love that so much. So, is there anything that you have not explored in your writing that you want to, like a world or a genre? I know that you're going to do vampires a little more.
I do want to do that. I have an idea. I've had it for a couple of years now, but I have not gotten to do it yet. I
Okay.
have like a murdery,
Oh,
thriller,
cool.
crime kind of thing in my head. And I do want to do that one. Um, Mostly because like my husband always asks, like, have you written that one yet? When are you gonna write the murder book?
He's
Even
waiting
though he's
for
not
it.
a reader, like even if when I write it, he's not gonna read that one anyway. But just so I can be like, here, I wrote it, like take
There
it.
you go.
But I think that would be fun because like I like to watch a lot of that stuff. Like I love like Criminal Minds and the true crime, like all of
Yeah.
that. I love it. So I think it would be cool to kind of try to write something. So we'll see if I
Okay.
ever if I ever get there. And I definitely want to go back because right now I'm kind of in a contemporary romance. Like my last two have been contemporary romance. So I do
Yeah.
want to get back into the paranormal romance realm. And finally get to do my vampires and my maybe some shifters.
Very
Yeah.
cool. I love that. That's like my playground. So I absolutely love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I counted them the other day. I have like 15 or 16 different like WIPs right now, like in various states. Like some are like a chapter and some are like almost completed.
Oh,
And then
wow.
yeah, and then that's my brain. I just like I go like all
That's
different
cool.
directions all the time. So I'll be focusing on this one, and then my brain says, no, this one over here. So I'll stop and kind of go over here. Um, so I've got some of those cooking that like
Okay.
I really want to get into.
That's amazing. I love that. It
I
sounds
just
like
need more time. I need more time in the day.
we all do.
I know.
I know. Well,
I know.
speaking of time, we are almost out of time. So
Ooh.
I know. Thank you for talking with me tonight. Before we end our recording, where can people find you online?
So I'm on all the socially things. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on Threads, but I don't really understand it, to be quite honest. So I'm not very active on there. But it's at KD Miller Author on all of the things.
Okay.
And then I have a website where if, by the way, if you order any of my books from my website, you get all the swag and stickers and all the fun
Ooh,
stuff. And
okay.
they come in pretty packages. So that's always fun.
I love
Um,
it. I love it.
I literally just got like 500 new stickers today. So somebody
Okay.
order some books
We
because
need
I really want to
500
send them.
people to go order books because
Yeah,
we
but
have
the
room on the
website,
store.
it's just kdmillerbooks.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I will drop the link below too. Katie, thank you again for joining me. It was great to be able to meet you and talk with you tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.